use cases of Web3 through DePIN. Hello everyone, Daniel from DePIN Hub over here, and today we're interviewing Markus, co-founder of XYO, one of the oldest, if not the oldest, DePIN project out there. They started by solving the problem of real-world trusted proof of location and proof of origin. To know more about the beginnings of this project, I would like to invite you to check episode 32 of the DePIN Hub podcast. Now, with over 10 million nodes, they just launched XYO Layer 1, their groundbreaking blockchain designed especially for data-heavy industries. Today, we're diving deep into this exciting new chapter. Thanks so much for joining, Markus, the podcast. I saw you in Dubai. We were just talking a little bit before. Seeing you all over the world and seeing how XYO actually, like day after day, releasing new features, new groundbreaking, actually, quite updates. And it's super interesting to know, like, to invite you now on the DePIN Hub podcast to talk about what you guys are building right now. I think it's like quite life-changing in the blockchain industries and especially on DePIN. But yeah, let's get started by you talking about what you guys are built since, I think, last year and the next steps for, XYO with your own blockchain and etc.
Yeah. First, thanks for inviting me every time. It's like a good energy with you, and I love to be on this podcast with you. So thank you for that. Yeah, so as you know, and your listeners might know, we are a data company basically in the blockchain space, right? We collect and validate and verify real-world data. And we started with proof of location or certainty around location and IoT devices. And since then, expanded to really any data collection, be it sensory data or even offline data, and many data points. And we expanded from IoT also to mobile apps and other ways to collect that data. And so we built a data company, right? So we started with like IoT and a little bit of data, but today we are more data company. And we realized that there's a problem with data and blockchain, right? If you try to do something with data and Ethereum, it's like, forget it completely, right? It's so expensive, even with Solana and other modern chains, right? It's very hard to do anything with data because if you try to store a picture, for example, there, right, it's prohibitively expensive. But for the last 7 years, these are actually more than 7 years now, we built these tools for data, right? So with XYO, we are this middleware technology between the real world and blockchain protocols, and we connect on both sides, right? And then we connect with layer ones like Solana and Ethereum and others to write to the smart contracts. And so we waited that someone created better data solution, because actually we didn't want to build a layer 1 or layer 2, but nobody did. So we said, okay, we'll do it. And we have all this technology, and we are like 75% there, and let's just build the rest. And so built a novel blockchain completely from the ground up, just made from data. It's not forked from anything. And we did that because data is first. There's no other blockchain which is data first. So the XYO layer 1 on the data side is not just about the storage of data like some protocols are, like Filecoin and stuff like that, but it's also about the analysis of the data and the certainty around the data. So you want to make sure that the data which your AI gets is true and correct, for example, so it doesn't hallucinate. And we can do that. And that blockchain is built with performance in mind. As you know, most blockchains are becoming bloatier and bloatier as they live on, right? If you look at Solana, for example, even or Ethereum, right, they have such a big node, right? It's very, very, very difficult to run. You need a big machine and so on. We build our technology in a way that it prevents bloat, for example, because we only look at you can be a node with a subset of all the data. And then in the end, you have a new algorithm called proof of perfect, that you basically look which one of those chain heads is the right one, rather than you do a vote, and then the most perfect one wins, right? And you keep building the chain this way. And this way, we remove the bloat, and so the blockchain at some point doesn't grow anymore. You can run it on your laptop, for example, no problem, and it grows.
First, data focus L1 blockchain, because one thing is like you mentioned before, there's DePIN projects or like blockchain projects that are made to store data, right? Not necessarily like images, files like Filecoin, Storj, etc. And then there's more just on like that you can really store a lot of information. Like if you try to do even on Solana, people think it's cheap, but try to actually put a picture on Solana to see how expensive it is, right? So you're trying to merge these two worlds, right? Like first get a lot of data, like could be data point information, sensor data, etc. Make sure that they're verifiable, and then store that in a way that is scalable as well. Because you don't need to, I think 4 years ago, I tried running a Solana validator, and I just got, okay, this is so much RAM that I need for this project already. I'm just going to stop. And I love the way that you guys are always thinking like, how can normal people participate, right? And I think like the XYO project earned like how much, 8.8 million or almost 9 million in revenue 2024. And one thing that it really makes me excited to talk to you and see what you guys are building, because the way that you approach non-crypto users, right? And maybe you can talk a little bit about how can people that are no DGen, no crypto native can actually help also, not just with the coin app like you've been doing in the past, but also now with this running like a validator. Because is it going to be just like an app that you install on your computer? You can set up some settings and how much data you want to perform. How would that work?
Exactly what you mentioned, right? We have that always in mind, right? We are DePIN first, so, and we have more than 10 million nodes, right? So we want to have as many nodes and people access our network as possible. And we managed over time to today, more than 80% of the people who come into the CoinHub and XYO network are non-crypto users, and by able to do that, right, your addressable market is just huge, right? And we are able to grow that, and we wanted to emulate that on the XYO layer 1 side. And by enabling you, like, it's an easy download, and you can run a node. We're going to release it in like a month or two. So right now you have something called nodeless staking, where you stake the whole network, and then in a month or two we're going to have the validator nodes and the producer nodes, and those are easy installs basically on your machine. We are thinking maybe is there a way if we can run them even in the browser, but it's very far research right now. But we look for a way basically to make it easier and easier and easier again to bring really anyone in, because the promise of crypto and DePIN specifically is like you don't need to be like some crypto pro like you and me, right? It's like we want everyone to be able to earn from the assets, right? So it's like it's this freedom we can create by letting your computer, for example, work for you or your phone or whatever, and then it earns assets for you, and then those assets are hopefully appreciated in value and create something for you, right? And you don't need to rely on your salary and go paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, and it's like this freedom, right, for crypto and DePIN provides, and we want to create that freedom with the XYO layer 1 as well.
Do you have any idea of the requirements for running the node? Do you need to stake things, or need to have a lot of speed and bandwidth, or hard disk processing power?
Yeah, the node is very light, very, very, very light, and anybody with a regular computer which they bought 10 years ago is fine, can run it. And from the staking part, so we have a new token system. It's called the XYO XL1 token system. We have a new token called XL1. Let me tell you about that one first, and then I can tell you about the staking, then it makes more sense. XL1 token is internal to the layer 1. It's native there. It's for gas and transactions, dApps, and basically anything which runs internal. And the XYO token is external. It's for the DePIN and contributor rewards, the ecosystem, the staking, governance, security, and so on. And they're basically the yin and the yang. One is outside, one is inside, and they strengthen each other, because you take XYO to stake it in the XYO layer 1, so the XYO gets locked up, and then in the XYO layer 1 you earn XL1, and that XL1 gets burned with every transactions on the layer 1. So if once it runs at high speeds, once we, for example, onboard our own DePIN network, there's going to be a lot of transactions. Then you have a lot of burning of XL1 token, and this way, both tokens strengthen each other basically. And so you will so now to the staking now. So you will need some XYO to stake to earn that XL1. Now is a good time, by the way, to do that. Because we started a great promotion. We are adding extra 100 million XL1, which can be earned within 1 month only. Just go to XYO.network and stake some XYO. If you don't have some, maybe get some. And you can earn XL1 with a huge bonus multiplier for the next month. And the ones who are earlier, so in this 30-day window, the earlier you are, the more you can earn. And as a community, we try to, if you go over certain thresholds, and there's several bonuses, and more can be staked. And so I wanted to look how much was staked so far, but I don't find it right now. So I'll tell you later.
I think the key point here is like, if you don't have an XYO, make sure to get it as soon as you listen to this podcast, because there's a lot of good opportunities. Of course, nothing here in this podcast financial advice, but it's an interesting project to really make sure to dig in, understand what they're doing, understand how important and important for the industry in general what they're building, not just blockchain, but like technology and data, right? And if you get excited as me, maybe you stake some and you get into this project, because I think it's definitely worth it. What are some of the use cases that you are more excited about in the next phase of XYO?
We have some partnerships already, which we're not quite ready to announce yet, but it's a combination of DePIN and data. So, for example, where you have where we're going to do some proof of location for their devices. For DePIN, sometimes you need to prove that the device is where it's really supposed to be, right? So that you don't have the weather station, for example, in your mom's basement, and then it collects the weather data there, but it's really where it's supposed to be. And so we are doing that, providing proof of location for those devices, and then we provide the certainty around the data. So we say the data was generated on the device, was saved somewhere else, and then put into a smart contract. So we're going to do that. And then that data we're going to tokenize, and that data is going to be sold in the tokenized form as well. And so we can basically, the data is going to become more valuable that way, because we can prove, that the data was generated and that it's true and correct. And that's interesting for our partner. And then we have a partnership on the coin app. Also, we're gonna have like a map overlay where we will show some nodes, as where they are in the world, and so on. And that you can interact with them.
I think in physical DePINs, right, in devices, also DePINs, they actually have locations like Helium had at the time, that they build actually proof of coverage for this exact issue, to make sure that people put the device where they're saying they are. So if they actually start using XYO at the time, they probably had saved a lot of money in engineering trying to solve that problem in the beginning. I can imagine also the more that we start using AI, the data verifiability of those data, like where it comes from, it's getting more and more and more important. So I can imagine XYO can be used for that as well, no?
Yeah, exactly. So we already have some demand partners on the AI side. It's growing, but it's you're absolutely right. It's about where for AI, you don't want it to hallucinate, and so you need to prove some data, or let's say AI hallucinates, right? It doesn't know why, right? Then the data can be checked. For example, even through that DePIN network, our DePIN network can be an agent for the AI, where the AI says, "Oh, I don't know where I hallucinate, but I got the feedback that the restaurant opening hours are wrong," for example, right? And then we can go and send our nodes there, collect some data, or take pictures of the sky or whatever was wrong, and so that the AI can be corrected, and that can happen in an automated way. And so it connects it well. And then you have proofs for correctness of the AI, for example, and that's one thing. We have a new tool which connects your identity with your IP. So when you create something, not only music or books or something like that, but also if you create something in AI, let's say you create an image, which is not so easy, right? And you want to make sure that you say, "Oh, this image is so cool," right? You want to record the IP, that you are the first one who made it, you're the owner, you started this viral account, let's say, and it's a fun tool that way, right? It's a IP protection kind of thing. But if you think about it in an in a AI-centric way, you can record a lot about ownership. And that's a problem for AI because AI today is trained often on data which it might not shouldn't access, and that way, you can say, no, I'm owed something here, because you used my image, for example, to train you. So
you have 10 million nodes out there, and now you're gonna transition everybody or everything to this new blockchain. What is the timeline, and what does the user needs to do? Do they need to do anything, or is the transition going to be completely seamless to move to the layer 1?
Yeah, for our nodes, it's completely seamless. There's already some data being written, not a lot yet. It's scaling up, to the layer 1, but our nodes in the DePIN network don't know that that's happening. And, we're going to onboard it, and there's going to be a lot of transaction on the layer 1 from our DePIN network alone. But then, if other DePINs join, or, if there's we're talking with a lot of RWA projects, gaming, AI, other data heavy crypto projects, I think it's going to be a good ride for us.
How big or how much effort would you think in maybe in percentage of the resource that you guys have, do you put in in the B2B, B2C marketing? Because that's one thing that I like to talk to the project, understand. Because if a DePIN is 100% only technology and there's no revenue, because you guys clearly have, I would say, one of the DePINs, if not the DePIN with the most revenue out there.
A lot, compared with other DePINs, I think. But engineering and technology is still our number one. That's why they're able to release and push forward so much. So engineering and technology is more than half our company, and then the rest, goes between sales, marketing, ops, and all the things, finance. Our financials are a little complicated because we have, I think we have audited financials, and we do finance with the US SEC. We have two entities like the XYO Foundation, and then the for-profit XY Labs company, and XY Labs that has these SEC filings going on. And so, that's just takes team and resources, unfortunately, but it's also a benefit because we're able to tokenize our common stock and trade that as well.
Have you been seeing any difference between the previous administration, this administration in the US in terms of crypto, because you were in the front line of that, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah, for sure. We were during the previous administration, every day we were are we doing the right thing, And we were the first crypto company in the US which was qualified to do something called a Regulation A offering, allowing us to sell our shares to non-accredited investors. And there was nobody else for 4 years after us. Only the next one got approved. And so we did something right. But then on the same side, the SEC came after anyone really, right? And so it was a scarier time. And today, we're still doing the right thing. And I think before we were scared, now we have hope, and the hope, I think, is what is propelling markets. It is bringing entrepreneurs in to start new projects, as DePIN started in 2022 is a term, right? And today it feels like there's 10,000 DePIN projects. And I think it's just this collective hope, we as an industry, we can build something. And I think the new administration did something right there with being able to create that hope, right? And that certain regulation is on the horizon and sort of.
Yeah, because I remember when we spoke on the episode 32, it was quite a while ago, and you were saying that you guys were one of the first companies that you're releasing the crypto token in the US. It's wow, these guys are crazy because everybody's now going to different countries, to Switzerland or whatever. So, and you guys actually, like you said, the first one, how things get a little bit better, the more and more companies start, opening up and not being afraid of trying to innovate. I think that's the thing that I'm most excited about what's happening right now.
And I think it has this push-on effect on the rest of the world, because if you look what's happening in India and Japan, South Korea, everywhere they talk about new regulations, and in Europe, MiCA was first, but in all the other places, they are also talking about creating sensible regulation, which is really, really amazing. This knock-on effect, I think.
How are you guys looking into going back to the XYO layer 1 to differentiate yourself on the messaging from other blockchains, guys? Because a lot of people that don't research it, they're just like, oh, just another layer one. I think you're very different. How do you position yourself in this industry?
I think it's easy because we're the first scalable data chain. Nobody can say that, and we are the first blockchain for data, and so we're quite different. And I think it's going to be quite visible. When we launched our XL1 token yesterday, there was at some point it's 7x and on Kraken, and it was people are definitely excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are the key milestones that you guys want to achieve now for the next, let's say, 12 to 18 months?
Onboard our own nodes and DePIN ecosystem, then showcase what we can do with it and show how it runs, and then start with third-party partners. We might go to industry by industry, start with some DePIN first, but then onboard more people there, and then get more XYO stake. As I mentioned, it's a good time. We think maybe more than half of the XYO is going to be locked up or staked. And so, that's will tighten the XYO supply a lot, and be excited about that as well.
Yeah, and I could see more and more DPINs actually, that those who have data start using XYO as well as their blockchain, right? They can, because I'd say a lot of projects could use, for example, Solana as their token, release the token Solana, but they can still use XYO for the data instead of using, I don't know, AWS or Google. Is that any strategy that you guys are planning on doing? Is there any DPINs that you're talking about? I don't know if you can already announce anything like that.
Yeah, there are quite a few, but I can't let you know yet.
Nice. No, that's cool. And throughout the next, let's say, 5 years, how do you envision, let's say 5 years ago, because you guys started building, let's say 7 years ago, could you imagine that you'd be releasing your own blockchain?
No, we had such an evolution, we were talking when the layer ones came up, we talked about maybe we should build layer two came up, this thought about, or maybe we should build a layer two. But then we thought, well, it's not going to be data performant enough. And so we scrapped that idea again. And then we were, as I said, like, we don't want to build the blockchain, but then now we did it because nobody else did it. And I think we built something really, really incredible, and people should check it out.
Let's say if you have a crystal ball, how would you see XYO in the next 5 years?
There's these two parts of XYO. There's the DePIN network and the XYO layer one. So I think the DePIN network is going to have grown to maybe hundreds of millions of nodes. And there is, I say maybe, because I can't make forward-looking statements, but but basically it's this tentacle touching the globe and collecting data points everywhere. And then it might become a native chain to some AIs and so on, like like OpenAI, for example, might connect into it to connect to the world and get its validated and verified data, and so we sit in the middle of all of that.
Yeah, it's nice to see how much work still ahead of you. Like, you built so much, but it's really nice to see there's still a future. There's still a lot to be built, right? And more exciting, I guess, people building on top of XYO blockchain. I think that's something that you're laying on the framework for data networks, and then now people are going to start building. Then you don't even need to do too much, right, anymore in terms of like for growing the network. People are going to need what you build, and they're going to start using that. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell the listeners, people out there, what they should do, where they should go to learn more about XYO? What is the thing they should do right now after they listen to this podcast?
Yeah, first follow us on X, so then you can get our daily updates, and you would have not missed the announcement yesterday. So that's our official XYO on X. And then if you want to learn more, go to XYO.network. It's there's a button to stake or buy XYO or XL1, and then of course a lot about the new XYO layer one, and you can learn about it. And we wrote it in a way that it's easily understandable for non-crypto people as well, so that don't be afraid to go there, and created some videos which are pretty cool as well, explaining everything. And then you're interested to partner with us, send an email to partnerships@xyo.network. If you are deep in project, or if you have some questions about staking, or if you have anything, really just send an email and our team will check it out. Maybe it comes to me, and that would be cool.
Amazing. I mean, everyone who's listening out there as well, check deepinhub.io. We just released a full blog article talking about this new project, this new layer 1 from XYO. There's a lot of information there, a lot of links. And yeah, don't miss this opportunity, because, you guys are building something real here, and that's something that makes me very, very excited. I'm looking forward to see you in a few weeks in Singapore during Token 2049 and other places around the world as well. And yeah, I'd like to thank you so much for being on the podcast. Looking forward to catching up soon and just following what you're doing, because I think just what XYO alone is doing, considering all the blockchain projects, it can just, keep the whole day entertained.
Thank you. Yeah, I love you guys. DePIN Hub is awesome. I check them out as well. That's my advice as well.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone. Rock and roll.